The 19th of December, 2025. Miami saw the fight everyone said shouldn't happen. And when it ended, the boxing world couldn't stop talking about what they'd just witnessed.
It's fine, right? Yeah.
Yo. Don't mind me. Just smoking on that Jake Paul pack. Honestly, Jake Paul, trash. Tommy Fury, trash. Oh! You better stop playing. You better stop playing. That is nothing to play with. That big mother in front of you, man. Ooh. That's it over, dog. Oh! That's crazy. That's a wrap. Don't get up. Don't get up. Yeah. Oh!
That's crazy.
Ooh! Shit!
It's very difficult to go in like, you know, out the ring for 14 months and just be razor sharp with a guy running. And so yeah, probably 2 or 3 rounds more than expected. But fair play to Jake Paul. It was a lot tougher than I thought, and he took a lot more shots than I thought he could.
What did AJ tell you inside the ring about the fight or how
Oh, he said, oh, you were shouting at me, rushing me. I said, yeah, I just wanted, you know. But like, I think he was always going to take his time. I think he was always going to be the guy that wasn't just going to go in there erratic. I said this earlier. And if Jake was aggressive, then I think he would have actually got caught earlier. But he was smart. Like, his movement was good. He was clever in the clinch. I was actually impressed. But, you know, obviously there was a massive gulf between them and it was only a matter of time. But listen, fair play. As I said, he did more rounds than expected.
Well, I wouldn't call it an incredible knockout. I would call it a matter of time.
A matter of time, right?
A matter of time. And you got to realize, you know, Jake Paul had his hands down.
Yeah.
He was basically waiting for that knockout.
Dennis, just give us a pick. Tyson or Joshua, who wins it?
Keep walking.
Yep, you're out.
Your first instinct just comes to your mind.
Well, it depends. One's a boxer and one's a power puncher. So whichever gets hit first.
I thought Joshua did what he had to do. It took him a while to get it. He had to break him down and chase him down and unleash his powerful shots.
What was it? Was it a little too long to get done, or?
When you fight someone like that, who moves around a lot, then you have to try and pick your moments, pick your shots.
Yeah.
That's what he did. So congratulations to Joshua.
Man, and credit to Jake Paul, right, for even taking the challenge.
He's a very gutsy man.
Yeah. He got up, what, 3 times? I mean, you felt that power. Are you impressed that he lasted that long?
Very much.
Yeah.
He's done a great job.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua.
Hey, 2 words. Fair trade. That's it? You think, you think AJ was pulling any punches? Fair trade. Being mad selected.
Got up after the first knockdown.
Nah, Jake is tough. He's tough. He's tough. But the first couple shots didn't land clean. The last one landed clean.
Where does Jake go from here?
Like you say, he need a rest. Take some time off. Enjoy the fruits of his labor.
Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. What happens in that fight now? Is it more exciting?
I don't know, because I don't know where Tyson Fury is right now. You know, and it's gonna be interesting. But that's a fight I want to see. That's a fight they've been talking about for a long time, man. Domestic dust-up, as they call it. I think it's gonna be a good one.
No, it was a awkward night. You know, AJ couldn't get to grips with him. Obviously, Jake had a really good game plan, moving his feet, lateral movement, slipping and sliding. Obviously, been practicing that a lot in sparring, and you got to give him credit. He came out there and gave it a good go, took his licks like a man, didn't complain. You know, fighting a much bigger, more established world-class fighter. So that's usually what happened. What was always going to happen. You know, a lot of people thought he would only last 1 round, 2 rounds, but you know, you got to give Jake credit. You know, he went out there and had a solid game plan and was implementing it at times. Was landing shots and was avoiding getting hit with the big shots. You know, but there's a reason we have weight categories in boxing, and I'd say he sticks with, you know, the cruiserweight division where the guys are the same size as him, because that, you know, without having the schooling, the many years, I was able to give away 100 pounds in weight because I've been boxing since I was 10. I was an international amateur and world champion at cruiserweight. That's why I was able to do the big jump and use the tactics that he used to win the heavyweight championship. But you know, credit to him, nothing but respect for Jake Paul for putting on such an event and putting himself in harm's way.
That was incredible. In my view, that was a victory on all fronts. Wow. Like, minus the actual victory, of course, but bro, like, no one expected him to the last 6 rounds with AJ. In my opinion, he won 4 of them. People will argue that he at least won 3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's toughness. You know, most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring into their life. He stepped in the boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet. Who's 40 pounds heavier than him and 6 inches taller. That's insane. He's one of the most skilled fighters on the planet. My brother is a fucking YouTuber. Went 6 rounds with a fight with a broken jaw and rolled ankle. I'm so proud of him. That was just unbelievable.
Unbelievable part. And the reality is, Jake lost because of the size difference, not because of the skill difference.
He took some rounds from Anthony Joshua. It took Anthony Joshua 6 rounds to put out a man who's been in the sport for 6 years and took on the challenge in 4 weeks. So put some respect on Jake Paul's name.
He went 6.5 rounds with Anthony Joshua, one of the best in the world. So I got nothing.
And got up like 2 times?
No, it was sick.
Talk about that. I mean, there's other heavyweights that have caught that right hand who haven't got it.
Ngannou, so many people, bro. The overhand right. Jake's got a tough chin, dude. I think he does whatever he wants after this. He just has such big balls, dude. He had to keep moving. That was the only strategy. People are gonna say he ran around the ring. They don't know. They don't understand fucking boxing.
He showed a ton of heart, right? Ton of heart. What's next for Jake Paul? Where
like
does he
I said,
go?
whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. I hope he hits. I hope he fights some more people like that are
heavyweights. Still heavyweights?
Yeah, I think heavyweights, but not Joshua.
Yeah, not Joshua. Definitely not Joshua.
There's not a chance that Anthony Joshua is not going to just lose the weight beforehand. He's not going to come in drained. What he's going to do is just do extra cardio, and that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry that Jake Paul wants to fight him. Very upset that this YouTuber who's fought Tommy Fury, who's a legit boxer, and a couple other guys that were legit boxers. That's it. Like everyone else he's fought Ben Askren, who's really a wrestler. He fought Tyron Woodley, who was an elite MMA fighter, but not an elite boxer. He fought Nate Robinson, who was a basketball player. At least he's fought these guys. He fought Anderson Silva, and he dropped Anderson Silva, and Anderson Silva was a really good striker, but also in his 40s, different time. It's not the same guy he used to be. This is a 34-year-old Anthony Joshua. This is a terrifying human being. Terrifying.
I mean, I forget that the 2 times I'm like debating about a guy who got famous by playing YouTube, and I'm like, are you kidding me? If AJ goes 1 round, 2 rounds, fine, yeah. If he goes 3, 4, 5, then we have to start questioning AJ as well. And he goes to points. Then I have to phone him and say, yo, what are you doing? Yeah?
What if he matches him for 8? What if he doesn't want to?
I don't care.
You don't want, so he needs to flatline and you don't want to see him.
The guy comes in there,
8
1,
rounds.
2, yeah. But if he goes to 8 rounds, and then what are we doing then? What is AJ doing? Yeah, no, tell me. What is he?
Oh yeah, Tim Deadstone Bradley, you already know the rest. Oh, did y'all see? Did y'all see what Mike Coppinger said? Oh, is it true? Is it real? Ooh, hey, I like this fight way better. Fake Jakey Paul and Dirty Love. They did it again. They got another guy in there that's a little bit of weak-minded. One that might even sell his soul a little bit for that money. Yeah, and go ahead and lay down for Jake Paul. Yeah, man, this is supposed to be an easy fight for a dude named Anthony Joshua, a dude that did 24 rounds with freaking Usyk, a guy that knocked out Ngannou, one of the baddest mans on the planet. Boy, this is supposed to be easy licking for him. Easy money. Shoot, if he go in there and be who he is, right? An experienced Olympic gold medalist, an experienced fighter that he is, bigger than Jake Paul, stronger than Jake Paul, got more skill than Jake Paul. He's supposed to serve Jake Paul. But if he don't go in there and serve Jake Paul, then you know what it is, guys. Yeah, our question's gonna be answered. Yeah, straight up scripted, straight up WWE. Yeah. Ain't nobody can say nothing different to me. Oh yeah, because Anthony Joshua, he's supposed to smash Jake Paul. Period. Smash him. Yeah, easy work. That's what it's supposed to be like. But if he go in there and he struggle, yeah, and he find himself on the canvas looking for a mouthpiece or something, oh man, come on now. And you know Jake Paul, he signed that NDA, he signed his little rights away and was like, oh, I'll take a dive for $40 million, no problem. I'll take a dive, I don't care. All I care about is the money. All I care about is myself. I don't really care about the sport itself. I'm over the sport, yeah, and then we know, guys. But yeah, I'm definitely tuning in for this one. Oh yeah, I'll be watching closely. But anyways, yo, that's my time. I'm Tim Desert Storm Bradley. I'm out.
Lamont Rogan and Zach Cruz, both guys who are old school throwback fighters matching up, and they're no doubt going to put on the show here in San Antonio.
I can't see no other way, but anything can happen in fighting and boxing. And Jake Paul was
and also make sure for exclusive behind the scenes access.
I would not even try to
and also subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I wouldn't even try to do a fight. If he won, I would never try to do a fight ever again.
Anthony Joshua knocked Jake Paul out in the 6th round, exactly like the experts predicted. But here's what nobody saw coming. Paul lasted longer than almost anyone thought possible, absorbed punishment that would hospitalize most humans, and walked out of that ring with a broken jaw and something resembling respect. This wasn't competitive, and we need to be clear about that. Joshua, sitting at 29-4 with 26 knockouts, dropped Paul 4 separate times before the referee waved it off. But the fact that it took 6 rounds, that Paul kept getting up, that he reportedly broke his jaw in the 3rd round and kept fighting, all of that changed the conversation. The internet spent months screaming that this would be a murder. A 27-year-old former YouTuber with 12 wins against a 2-time heavyweight champion who knocked out Francis Ngannou. The math didn't work, the physics didn't work, and yet when the final bell never came and Paul was face down on the canvas, the reactions weren't what anyone expected. The build-up, nobody believed. Joe Rogan said it before the fight even happened, he couldn't process the matchup. Rogan had watched Paul's entire evolution from Disney star to problem child to actual boxer, and this still felt like a bridge too far. So he compared it to Paul's fight with 8-year-old Mike Tyson and called that one a controlled exhibition. Against Joshua, Rogan said the jump felt almost incomprehensible, and the betting public agreed with him. Joshua came in as one of the heaviest favorites in modern boxing history, with most analysts giving Paul less than a 1% chance. Derek Chisora, Joshua's longtime friend and sparring partner, joked that if the fight went past 2 rounds, he'd turn off his Netflix stream out of disappointment. If AJ goes 1 round, 2 round, fine, Chisora said before the fight. If he goes 3, 4, 5, then we have to start questioning AJ as well. That statement, aged like milk, left out in the Florida heat. Tim Bradley took a different angle, suggesting Paul's team had to have seen something in Joshua's recent performances that gave them confidence, maybe the 14-month layoff before this fight, maybe the losses to Alexander Usyk, maybe Joshua's history of underperforming against opponents he was supposed to demolish. Bradley called it a psychological gamble. 2 men fighting for completely different reasons, while Ryan Garcia went the opposite direction and said Paul had picked the worst possible opponent from every available option. Not just difficult, the absolute worst. Garcia pointed to the size gap, the experience gap, and the sheer physical danger, openly doubting Paul would win even a single round. If he could win 1 or 2 rounds, to me, that's a W, Garcia said. He wasn't wrong. The contract details that changed everything. The fight was structured as an 8-round exhibition with 3-minute rounds and 10-ounce gloves. Cruiserweight rules, technically. But Joshua weighed in at 245 pounds, and there was no rehydration clause. That meant Joshua could walk into the ring as heavy as he wanted, and by some estimates he came in closer to 255 on fight night, while Paul had spent his career at cruiserweight hovering around 200 pounds. The physical disparity was immediately visible at the weigh-in, where Joshua looked like he could pick Paul up and throw him into the crowd. $184 million. That was the reported purse, more than most title unification bouts generate. Netflix was betting big on the spectacle, banking on Paul's internet following colliding with Joshua's global boxing fanbase, and the event was called Judgment Day, with the irony not lost on anyone. Amir Khan raised ethical concerns before the fight was even official, questioning whether athletic commissions should sanction matchups like this at all. Khan argued that pairing Paul, who had been boxing professionally for less than 6 years, with a heavyweight known for brutal one-punch knockouts, felt irresponsible. Boxing is a sport you have to respect, Khan said. You're always one punch away from getting hurt, and something bad's going to happen one day. Khan's words would echo louder after round 3, round by round, the fight itself. The first round was cautious, with Paul coming out, moving, circling, keeping his hands high and his feet active. Joshua stalked forward, measured, clearly in no rush, and Paul landed a few jabs, though nothing significant, while Joshua threw maybe 10 punches total. It was a feeling out process, but the crowd was already buzzing because Paul looked composed, and that alone was surprising. Round 2 delivered more of the same, with Paul's lateral movement sharper than expected as he slipped a few of Joshua's lead rights and even countered with a short hook that caught Joshua on the temple. It didn't hurt Joshua, but it landed clean, and commentators noted Paul's footwork, his head movement in the clinch, the fact that he wasn't panicking. But in round 3, the tide shifted when Joshua started cutting off the ring and forcing Paul into the corners. Midway through the round, Joshua landed a left hook to the body, followed by a straight right hand that caught Paul flush on the jaw, and Paul stumbled backward, grabbed the ropes, and held on while the referee gave him a standing 8 count. Paul later revealed that punch broke his jaw, which meant he fought the next 3 rounds with a fractured mandible. Round 4 was survival mode, with Paul covering up, moving more, and throwing less, while Joshua pressed forward but couldn't land the finishing shot. Paul made it to the bell, his corner working frantically between rounds with ice on his face and shouting instructions, and Paul nodded, spit blood into the bucket, and stood up for round 5. In round 5, Joshua dropped Paul for the first time with a right uppercut in the clinch that snapped Paul's head back and made his legs give out. He went down on one knee, took the mandatory 8 count, and somehow got back up while the crowd roared. And Joshua came forward looking for the finish, but Paul circled, clinched, and survived the round. Round 6 was the end, with Joshua coming out aggressive and Paul having nothing left. Joshua landed a right hand that sent Paul into the ropes, followed by a left hook that dropped him again, and Paul got up at 7 before Joshua walked him down and landed another right hand, this time on the button. Paul crumpled face first onto the canvas, and the referee didn't bother counting, he waved it off immediately. Anthony Joshua had done exactly what everyone expected him to do by winning and knocking Paul out, but it took 6 rounds, 4 knockdowns, and every ounce of power in his arsenal to finish a man who had no business being in the same ring. The aftermath: respect, disbelief, and a broken jaw. Logan Paul, Jake's brother, was the first person in the ring after the stoppage, grabbing Jake's face, checking his eyes, and screaming at the medical team to bring ice. Logan later posted on social media that Jake had suffered a broken jaw and a rolled ankle but refused to quit. "My brother as a YouTuber went 6 rounds with one of the baddest men on the planet, with a broken jaw and rolled ankle," Logan said. "That's unbelievable." Jake Paul himself posted from the hospital later that night, confirming the jaw fracture and saying he'd undergone surgery, while also claiming he won 2 rounds and wobbled Joshua at one point in the fight. The scorecards didn't reflect that most judges had Joshua winning every round, but Paul's confidence was intact. Johnny Nelson, former cruiserweight world champion, admitted after the fight that Paul exceeded expectations, and Nelson had said beforehand that the pressure was entirely on Joshua, that Joshua had everything to lose. After 6 rounds, Nelson's assessment felt prophetic. AJ couldn't get to grips with him early, Nelson said. Jake had a really good game plan, moving his feet, lateral movement, slipping and sliding. You gotta give him credit. David Haye, who had predicted something dramatic would happen, wasn't far off when he noted that Paul's psychological warfare, combined with Joshua's 14-month layoff, created more variables than people realized. Haye also pointed out that Joshua threw punches from new angles under his new coaching team, which may have contributed to the slower finish, while Roy Jones Jr. kept it simple. If a real fighter fights like a real fighter, Jake's going to take a real nap, Jones said before the bout. He was right about the outcome, but even Jones admitted afterward that Paul's toughness was undeniable. What this fight actually proved. Jake Paul is not a world-class boxer, and that much is obvious, with his record now sitting at 12-2 and both losses coming against legitimate opponents. But what happened in Miami on the 19th of December 2025 proved something else entirely. Paul can take a shot, he can fight through pain, and he can survive in an environment that would break most people. Shane Mosley, who trained with Paul and knows his work ethic firsthand, said before the fight that Paul genuinely takes boxing seriously, and Mosley acknowledged that discipline and preparation can only bridge the gap so far when size, strength, and elite-level experience are stacked against you. But Mosley also respected the effort. Andy Ruiz Jr., the man who shocked Joshua in 2019, offered advice before the fight by saying Paul needed a perfectly timed early shot, something clean and unexpected before Joshua could find his rhythm. Ruiz stressed how difficult it is to recreate a lightning-in-a-bottle moment without years of elite heavyweight experience. And Paul didn't get that perfect shot, but he did something almost as impressive. He lasted long enough to make people ask questions. Questions about Joshua's power, questions about Paul's chin, questions about what happens next. Anthony Joshua was diplomatic in the post-fight interview, praising Paul's toughness, saying the movement was awkward, and admitting it took longer than expected to close the show. Joshua also noted that Paul's game plan was smart, that he avoided big shots early, and that the weight categories exist for a reason. Without having the schooling, the many years, you can't give away 40 pounds in weight, Joshua said. But credit to him, nothing but respect for putting himself in harm's way. The internet's verdict. The internet predictably exploded, with some calling it a moral victory for Paul, while others said 6 rounds against a heavyweight champion with a broken jaw was more impressive than half of his wins combined. Critics pointed out that Paul still got knocked out, still couldn't hang with an elite fighter, and still proved the doubters right. But the narrative shifted anyway. Before the fight, Paul was a punchline, and after the fight, he was a punchline with a broken jaw who refused to quit. Amir Khan's ethical concerns resurfaced in post-fight discussions, and Khan had said before the bout that someone was going to get hurt badly, that commissions would eventually stop sanctioning these matchups. Paul's fractured jaw seemed to validate those fears, even if Paul himself brushed it off, while Joe Rogan, who had struggled to understand the matchup before it happened, didn't comment publicly afterward. Fans revisited his pre-fight analysis, where he'd said Joshua had built too prestigious a career to compromise his reputation with a staged result, and the knockout in round 6 was as real as it gets. Derek Chisora's joke about turning off his Netflix stream if the fight went past 2 rounds became a meme, and Chisora later admitted he was impressed by Paul's ability to survive, even if the outcome was never in doubt. What comes next? Jake Paul's boxing career is at a crossroads now that he sits at 12-2, with both losses coming against fighters who outweighed him significantly, proving he can compete at the cruiserweight level. But the jump to heavyweight, even in an exhibition format, exposed the limits of talent, training, and willpower, while Anthony Joshua moves forward with his legacy intact. At 30-4, Joshua remains one of the most dangerous heavyweights on the planet, and talks of a domestic showdown with Tyson Fury have reignited after Joshua's performance against Paul, dominant, methodical, and ultimately decisive, reminded everyone why he's still a draw. For Paul, the respect he earned in Miami came at a steep price, with a broken jaw, 4 knockdowns, and a brutal knockout that will live on YouTube forever. But he also walked away with something intangible proof that he belongs in a boxing ring, even if he doesn't belong in the same ring as the world's best. And Ryan Garcia said before the fight that just taking the challenge was a victory. Jake Paul took the challenge, survived 6 rounds, and proved that sometimes showing up is enough. The 19th of December, 2025. Miami witnessed the fight everyone said shouldn't happen, and somehow, against every prediction, Jake Paul made it interesting.